Houston, we have a problem.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Help me help you.
You are a boy!
My team is dead!
There's no crying in baseball!
Relax. This pod is making you aggressive.
Wilson!
You complete me.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of We Bought a Mic, a podcast about movies, television, music, exploding sunglasses, motorcycle jousting, air kicks, Dove sparks flames, free solo rock climbing, and smooth, silky, flowing hair. Welcome. It's Mission Impossible 2 time. It's the 21st century, 2000, Limp Bizkit.
Hans Zimmer.
Welcome. My name's Ernest.
It's not called Mission Difficult. It's called Mission Impossible. My name is Hunter.
My name's Adam. Sorry, I thought you were gonna go. I'm usually like, I thought.
No, I appreciate. I was just expecting you to. I don't know why.
It's okay. That's like a consecutive order. The Ethan Hunt guy of the not to steal your title.
Eras Tour shirt.
No, that shirt is so cool.
For the YouTube viewers.
I saw it one day and I'm like, I cannot
That is
I can't go to my grave and not have this shirt.
That's so sick.
I love it so much. Just like I love Ethan so much, as Luther would say. Ethan.
Welcome back to the show, Adam.
I'm Drew.
Oh, well, you know.
Ernest is too busy playing 4-dimensional chess with an algorithm right now to know how to get this introductions out.
Man, if you think that line is really out there, have I got a movie for you?
Robert Townsend.
Adam is one of, if not the biggest Mission Impossible fan
I think
that we know.
Yeah, between me and I know Hunter, like I always like talking Mission or just Tom Cruise in general, I think, with Hunter. Because
listen, you understand that Tom Cruise is the most important movie star of like the last 40 years.
I think just like in terms of like presence in Hollywood, just like aside from like action, just like in general, like what he's contributed to cinema is like, you know, it's unlike anything else.
Yeah.
And but when it comes to Mission, I have like a very, very soft spot in my heart for that. Aside from it just being fantastic as a franchise, I grew up with it. I think in a very similar way that you have. And this is the one that I've seen the least, but I still do love watching.
I wonder why.
And I love watching it and talking about it regardless.
So we'll get into it, but there was definitely a high probability that we were not going to cover this movie.
I don't know what you mean.
We have skipped a lot of movies, not just in this series, but in all of our series. I actually put together a letterbox list of all the notable movies that we have skipped across all our 3 series. And I didn't want this to be on that list. I didn't want this to be one of those.
And I'm really glad that you included this movie because as I was watching, I was like, oh no, wait, this unlocks the door of the next 20 years of Tom Cruise.
We'll get to it.
Movie.
We'll get to it.
This is it.
There is so much to get into with that because yes, there is a lot to unpack with the era that Tom is entering here.
Yeah.
But we got to intro the series. This is a series on the films of Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks. It's called Tom v. Tom, A Tale of Two Toms, Cruisemas with the Hanks, Tom and Tom again.
Are you sad that you're going to have to stop doing that intro soon?
No.
I think just keep it. I mean, who cares if people are confused? Just keep it.
Today we're talking Emilia Perez, and
we are reaching the tail end of this beautiful series that has taken the last year plus of our lives. This is there's 4 more after this, so this is the last little bit here, and it's it's definitely kickstarting the 21st century, definitely kickstarting the kind of new era.
Yeah,
of Tom
emphasis on kick.
Oh,
I mean, come on.
But it's also a big deal for everything we've seen up until this point. I think that there's a lot to talk about in terms of what the decisions that Tom Cruise made, you know, in the lead up to this movie, all the influences that were kind of driving his decision to make this movie. But in wanting to cover it, when I reached out to you, Adam, I think you wanted the first mission.
Yeah, which you guys did.
We did.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely
okay.
did that one.
I can't imagine you did it without, or you didn't do that. In
Just
But I remember thinking as soon as I saw your picks, I was like, you know what? I think that this is the perfect opportunity to instead put you on this one, because
You forced him to do this?
a little bit, yes.
Oh my God.
Because we've had you on for so many movies that feel like they're in line with Zillennial canon, and I'm so curious if this movie fits into that mold at all.
I mean, I think.
No.
I mean,
There's a Z in Zillennial. This is like the year that Z was born.
Yeah,
This is also an incredibly Gen X coded movie.
I was
in
like,
every way.
I was fully like 2 years old when this movie came out. So I did not see this. I think the first time I saw this movie, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't think I saw it when I was a kid. I saw 3 and 1 when I was a kid, but I think I just skipped 2 when I was a kid.
Really?
I think
Okay.
that was what you did. I think that was
Or
everyone knew that this was the one that you skipped.
Or maybe
I
I
remember
saw
that being
parts
the
of
thing.
it, but I didn't like. There were so many boring stretches. Like I definitely had seen the opening sequence, or no, actually, I don't. Not the opening.
What we
but
always
like,
think is the opening.
what you always think is the opening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The rock climbing.
I've seen that so many times in my life. I have like memories of like seeing like the car thing, like where like Fanny Newson and him are like in the cars at the beginning. Like I remember that stuff a lot, but it's. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I ever fully watched this. And I know the first time I fully watched it was before Ghost Protocol came out, because I watched all 3 like back to back to back.
Right.
That like Christmas.
You were hyped up for
I really was.
Ghost Pro.
I was really into it. But I can appreciate why you did that though, because while I have a big like love, and I could talk for like, I could wax poetic about the first movie for like.
Feel free to. It's a safe space.
So good. It's, I mean, what
Brian De Palma.
What De Palma does with that
Come on.
movie is just like, I watched that and then I watched this both while working the other day.
We're also going to have to talk about the Final Reckoning trailer at some point.
Dude, you have me on for the perfect episode because I'm so.
Can I tell you something? I haven't watched it yet because I'm
come
waiting to watch it in a
on.
movie theater.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see it.
Are you
in
going
the
to see
theater.
Gladiator this weekend? Because
Yeah.
it's going to play in front of Gladiator.
That's why I'm
Okay.
saving to watch it for the first time in front of
I can respect
like on a
that.
big screen.
I've
been actively avoiding
It's
it.
funny. I booked the A-list reservation for Gladiator, and the first thing I told Victoria was, "And we get to see the Mission Impossible film." Yeah, no, but I'm honored to be here because I love Mission, I love Ethan, I love Tom. I just like I love it all so much, and I do think I may be the only person who could talk about Mission Impossible 2 for this.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this movie, with Mission Impossible 2, but we can definitely have a broader,
Absolutely.
just full series discussion because, I think that what this movie sets up is relevant for all the other Mission movies that come after
Absolutely.
it. This movie
Yes.
introduces the idea of changing up the directors, changing up the style, the look, the feel of it, and the crazy stunts that define these movies. It all starts with this one. I think that the first one maybe seeds that a little bit. There's tiny little bits of it. Obviously, the CIA dangling,
The Langley heist, yeah.
and
incredible, by the way.
the explosion of the aquarium and all of that. You can kind of see bits of it. I think this one is what really kicks it off.
It does.
And I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to cover it. I mean, in thinking, why not skip this movie? The obvious answer is we love Mission Impossible movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we want to talk about them as much as possible, but I think that that's way too surface level. I think that the point that you had brought up about what this means for Tom Cruise is very, very important because this comes out in 2000. This is what, 4 years after the original Mission Impossible? That was 96?
Yep. 2 years.
So,
sorry, 4 years. Yeah.
1999, we just covered Eyes Wide Shut. That was the previous episode. Magnolia also comes out in 1999.
What a run. Insane.
He gets nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Magnolia. He loses that. He gets divorced from Nicole Kidman after the multiple years of making Eyes Wide Shut. This movie comes out. We'll get to it. His energy in this role in this movie is fucking crazy. He's an insane person. I can see it in his eyes. He's not.
This is definitely the prelude to the Oprah, and this is like, no, 100%.
Yes.
I think the biggest indicator is that we're in a new era.
Yes,
Cruise. It's a huge deal.
This movie made me miss my long hair.
Really,
a lot.
really. This is a very specific length of hair and like bangs swoop that
it's hot.
Not a lot of actors did this. It's really hard to pull off. One of the only other even celebrities that did this was Steve Nash in the early 2000s. Just because it's like a weird hairstyle and he looks so good with it.
Dude,
looks
and you know what's even crazier? He brings it back like 10 years later in Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
Not like exactly, but he has long hair in that movie. And what, he's like 55 in that? Like he should not make it work.
Is it longer in Ghost Pro than in Rogue Nation?
It's pretty long in both from what I remember.
I mean, it's more so a thing of like how much his look changes from movie to movie. Cause like in MI3, he's just short hair, clean cut.
Yeah, I mean, it bounces back because I mean,
JJ was like, shave that shit.
Same thing with Fallout and Dead Reckoning. He has short hair, but then in the spoilers, Hunter, but he has long hair on the new trailer, so it's kind of like. He just bounces around like that.
This is one of the most insane movies I've ever seen in my life. Often was oscillating between not having any handle on what was going on from moment to moment,
plot wise.
Well, also just my jaw being on the floor because of the absolute balls of John Woo to just shoot like basically a Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
And say, yes, this is your sequel to the De Palma.
So have you seen any John Woo movies?
Face Off.
I love Face Off.
Face Off is so
a lot,
good.
actually.
A 5-star film.
I would, and also we covered one for Cage, which was not a good
Talkers.
Movie. Not a good movie. It's not like it's not Max Woo.
Wait, so this is 3? Oh no, he does Broken Arrow in between. I was gonna say
no.
All the John Woo American.
No, it goes Broken Arrow, Mission Impossible. Sorry. Broken Arrow, Face Off, Mission Impossible, Wind Talkers.
So it's 3 English John Woos in a row.
And John Woo's a master. I mean, for anyone that hasn't seen it, I highly recommend Hard Boiled. Like, it's fucking incredible.
It's really hard to find.
It is, but
where's Criterion at? Like, this is like a perfect thing for Criterion to just get the rights to and just like do a big old John Woo box set.
That movie is like, I mean, you've seen it, right? Like
I've seen parts of it. I've never seen all of it.
There are some shots in that movie where I just like, I do not understand how a human being made that. Like, it is he's on a different level. And
there are a lot of those shots in this movie, but in a different way.
Where he's just like, you can see the vision is, I want to make an American kung fu movie. Like, he looked at Tom Cruise and said, "This is Jackie Chan for Americans." And like, this is what I'm going to try and do with this guy.
And not to like completely dick right, but also like to do it for Tom Cruise, where it's like something I love about him is that he's as much of a producer as he's a star in his movies. Yeah, and he has pull,
especially
at this point. Fucking cousins in here.
Yeah, he has pull on what goes and like the directors that are chosen for the projects that he
not
chooses.
Just pull. I think full
like control.
Bro's got yank.
But the thing is, he is the rare movie star that uses that for like artistic effort. Mm-hmm. Like, he fully is like, I'm going to like get the most radical filmmaker to make this vision, and you're going to let me, Paramount. And they're like, okay, Tom Cruise. And this is why we have a John Woo like blockbuster. And it's like, man, I wish I could have seen this like in a theater or something, because I've seen it like at home so many times. But it doesn't, like, I want to see this like opening weekend Memorial Day 2000. Like, I want to see it with a fucking crowd. Because I mean, there are like a lot of boring stretches in this movie, but when it's going, it's fucking.
It has a lot of really compelling stuff. I really struggled with this movie. It was my first time watching it last night. And maybe I wasn't in the clearest of heads. I was coming off like a 13-hour day or whatever.
It's a rough watch.
It's hard because he is drawing so much attention via the eye and to how his shots are composed and how everything looks. And that works in a movie like Face Off, where the plot is really simple and stupid, but there's so much plot in this movie. And a lot of the time when they're going over crazy exposition, I cannot hear what they're saying because there will be an insane insert zoom for no reason.
No, it's one of those things where you just hear about athletic filmmaking, and this is athletic like derogatory
in like the worst possible way.
It's just a lot. It reminds. I was saying last night that I think Wu should be more famous than he is.
Yeah.
Almost in the vein of like a Bay, where it's like you can love him or hate him, but like he does the most. Everyone, every like DP and cinematographer he has must be so exhausted because every shot he's like, no, this isn't just a normal shot.
Yeah.
We're gonna
not only is the knife about to hit us in the face, we're gonna zoom in on the knife right above his eye.
And then to like what you're saying about the exposition, like the movie, like in the first 30 seconds, like after the Paramount logo, it begins with like a heavy like Russian accent. We developed the like
dude, it's so
disease.
Coming off the first one, which I really think the superpower of the first one was it's almost going back and forth in between like comic book absurdity and then like super realism, which I get.
It's so good.
And that's not going to happen in all these.
It's a clean back and forth though.
But I think it's really cool that they managed to do that. And then this movie starts so crazy and it just stays so every line in this movie is a quip.
Here's the thing though. Yes, you guys are right. And is this a good movie? No. I think this movie's a blast though, man. Like I still have like so much fun with this movie because it seems like, I don't know. I think that every time that Tom Cruise is on the screen, it is electric. Like whatever is happening. Whenever it's just like Dougray Scott doing his thing, I can kind of just tune out.
Is it Dougray?
Dougray Scott. Brendan Gleeson and Dougray Scott.
I just want to say Doug Ray.
Doug Ray. Like
John Boy.
They are nothing. If we're ranking like the villains of the Mission Impossible universe, he's the fucking bottom.
He gets a couple good takes.
It is funny.
His expressions sometimes.
He's such a cuck in this movie. He's so like
he is horned up.
He
like,
is so horny.
I love my favorite scene in the movie is like when he.
I mean, did you guys see Tandy Newton in this movie?
Come on.
Yeah, I can't deny it, but like he is like so I love when he is like masked up as Ethan.
Yeah,
and
Tom is so good in that scene.
He's playing like Tom Cruise evil.
It's a really honestly good performance, but like when he takes off the mask and then he just has like tears in his face of the betrayal. I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous.
It's so
and there's like kind of like a like almost like a sexual tension with him and his like right hand like goon.
He's jealous.
Like he is jealous.
Hugh Stamp.
Yeah, I mean there's so many layers to this. There is like actual like I think queer subtext going on here that if you like wanted to look there, I think you could make the argument for
Absolutely.
it.
Arguably because you could say that all of the men have better chemistry with each other in this movie than they do.
I mean, and you know, Miss Newton, like she's a fantastic actress, but this does feel like a very like early stage career. Like my agent got me this gig.
She also disappears from the movie.
No, that's kind of the thing. I do kind of like their first scene together, like that whole sequence.
Yeah. Oh, like in the bathroom.
Well, that whole like first scene is like there is some spark there, and then like it's kind of the opposite of what you see in movies, where like. I don't know if they shot that scene at the end of filming or something, but they have more chemistry at the beginning of the movie than they do in the middle.
It gets progressively more dry. Like by the end,
and it's like, how did this happen?
By the end where they like link up, it's like, I don't want this to happen. Yeah. Like I don't want Ethan to waste his time here.
You don't want them. They link up at the Sydney Festival of background actors walking around in circles.
Ridiculous. So
it's supposed to be Spain.
They're in Spain?
No, they're in Australia.
No. It's set in Spain. Or wait,
no. It's fucking not.
It's all the ending, like the very like last scene. They for some reason are in Australia.
The festival that they are at is a Spanish festival.
Yes,
Las Fallas.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh
no, they meet in Spain, but most of the movie takes place in Australia. Yeah. They were getting those tax cuts.
Oh, right, that is true, right? Because when they meet up with Luther,
it's all in Australia.
It's a super Australia-based movie, which is very, very rare. Like you don't get
for this time period. Now movies are more and more just like, oh, we get tax breaks there.
The weird thing is that the movie doesn't really take advantage of the Australian setting.
No,
either. Like it is there, but you kind of forget that it's Australian.
It's something that like now the Mission Impossible movies are so globetrotting, where it's a thing where it's like we're gonna go to Istanbul a little bit. Now we're gonna go to Paris, like Venice.
This movie jumps around the it plot wise,
it's all over the
plot wise.
Like the structure.
Guy who watches movies for the story.
The structure of this movie is just like it doesn't give you a minute to like catch up. Like it starts with the virus thing on the fucking like a catch up that's narrated of the virus thing. Then we go on the plane. Then the plane explodes.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Watch out. Drew has a problem with Robert Towne, legendary screenwriter.
Before the plane blows up and everything, like the like sequence where like again, Cruise is doing some great like reverse acting here, where he's playing a guy pretending to be him.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I love when he's like, you keep calling me your friend. You really shouldn't. Like it's so good.
It's great Chris delivery.
That moment is, I think. It's easily the best part of the whole beginning of the movie. That rocks, but it's really jarring because we don't really know, like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know most of these people. We have just been given so much exposition about what's going on with this virus, and then we're in the plane fucking
pre 9/11. You could do this.
Plane blows up. Hard cut to Cruise climbing a free solo climbing a mountain or a cliff.
What's the song that's playing?
And
that was pretty close. Yeah,
my jaw was on the floor the way it plays out, where he just about comes like a quarter second away from dying, like while climbing casually.
Yeah.
He gets to the top. They shoot what looks like a missile at him, and it's his mission. And he goes. Right.
And out comes a pair of glasses.
Yeah.
Out comes the most 2000 pair of
very
sunglasses.
Spy Kids coded glasses.
There's not one normal pair of sunglasses in this movie. There's 20 different types, and they're all fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Hunt walked so Junie Perez could.
Right. Well, the shot of him taking off the sunglasses, throwing them at the camera, and exploding to credits is fucking cinema.
It's great.
It's just so jarring.
Yeah. Yes, jarring is one thing. I do think that like two pieces. One, this movie does like we're talking about how important it is for like the Mission Impossible core. This movie really goes all in on mass, and it's kind of something that is a big theme for a lot of this movie.
I think it's a couple too many.
So here's the thing. I feel the same way about a lot of like the action sequences. Is it was just like after Mission Impossible 1, they're like, we got a fucking franchise on our hand. Let's find where the guardrails are. And then John Woo was like, I got you guys. We're gonna do the absolute most. And then they were like, hey, maybe not that much. let's wheel it back with a hand-to-hand combat. Let's wheel it back with the crazy shots with the mass and bring it back. Because I don't want to skip ahead too much, but the very end, there's a mask that. How does it get made? Where does it come from? Just keep that thing in his back pocket just in case that is the one goon that he happens to come across.
Well, they change outfits too.
Yeah, and especially like if you watch like Ghost Protocol, like that scene where like they're in the Burj Khalifa and like Benji's trying to print the one mask,
and it breaks,
and you see how like elaborate.
It's very involved. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, if that's how long it takes to get a mask, then why?
Yeah.
Did he just have one?
Well, and
I mean, it doesn't fucking matter, but it is kind of funny.
To that point, though, like, and that's how Simon Pegg is such an important piece to like add in halfway through the franchise. Like, it is more important, than adding The Rock to the Fast and Furious movies, where it's just like
I don't disagree.
It injects so much more lifeblood, and like these movies need to be like laughing at themselves at points, and this movie. It's laughing at itself without
enough.
But I don't think that it even knows that it's laughing at. Like it's trying to laugh at itself, but it's
you mentioned Robert Towne. He had a pass at this script.
He gets screenplay credit.
Sole screenplay credit. Sole screenplay.
Catch me up. What is he like? What's he?
Chinatown.
Well, he also wrote the first Mission Impossible movie. So they like. Even Tom wanting this movie to feel different in every way from the first Mission movie, in bringing in John Woo instead of Brian De Palma, the screenplay is the same fucking guy.
Yeah.
Wait, So who are these people I'm seeing on here?
So story by Bruce Geller is the guy.
I know he's the TV show. What about the other two guys?
So Ronald D. Moore is my guy from For All Mankind fame way after this.
Oh wow.
He's also credited with the Battlestar Galactica remake.
And then this other guy, Brandon Braga, very similar.
Star Trek.
These are two guys who have only written TV except for this one movie.
Yeah, Brandon Braga did a bunch of 24, which I will say 2000s.
Hold on. Can we get a deep dive background for those who don't know?
Okay, so here's the
Kiefer
important
Sutherland.
So most kids were like going to school in like second and third grade and just like, did you watch the new SpongeBob everything? I was like, are you guys caught up on 24? Because it was my family's favorite show to all watch together. I will just say, while watching this, a movie that was made in 2000, bioterrorism was so hot in the early 2000s.
Oh man, I mean,
this is like a plot point, like exactly like what is happening in this is the plot point of like 2 or 3 different seasons.
It's a very like almost, I know this isn't post 9/11, but but after like 9/11, like, because you know, like how pre 9/11 there was like a lot of like just like general like terrorism subplots in movies, but then you had to kind of go to like to bioterrorism to like kind of have
Let me tell you,
but
Michael Bay's The Rock.
If I was to like rank my fears when I was like 7 years old, nerve gas would have been like the top 3. Because I was like,
I mean, if you were 20, so like,
I was like,
you're 24 fans,
waterboarding,
so Muslims. You're a problematic boy.
You know what?
Things that could happen within a 24-hour period.
You know what? That's something I have to like really praise about MI3, which is that you never find out what the rabbit foot is until apparently
coming soon.
But which I cannot. I like if they actually like pay it off in that, I'm gonna be like,
it's gonna be the end game of Mission,
dude. The like 9-year-old me that got like fucking MI3 from Blockbuster is gonna like lose his shit.
Oh my god!
You know, like on like TikTok and Twitter, like when Barbie came out, it's like the 25-year-old watched this, but here's the 7-year-old girl who watched
Here's
Barbie.
The thing.
That's me with MI8
yeah,
or MI9
I think
or whatever.
that everybody should be allowed to soy out over like one or 2 things. We should all be allowed to be fans of something. Sorry to those who disagree.
Absolutely.
And I'm on the same token gonna shit on everybody else who is.
And that's why we're starting a Donald Trump gift shop out of this podcast studio. You know, like when you're driving down the middle of nowhere and you just see a giant pile of garbage on the side of the road and you're like, what is that? Oh yeah, that's a Donald Trump gift shop.
It's on the
just a pile of shit.
We 82 right now.
We went to the beach recently and like to Daytona, and we just walked into this like really cute gift shop from the outside. You go in there, so much MAGA gear, just so much, and you're like, oh, cool. Great, that's awesome.
It's the one thriving business in the entire area.
Yeah,
they're doing way
I
better.
mean, we were fully the only people in that entire store when we went, but it was not what I expected. Given the
well, it wasn't made for fucking woke libs.
No,
you know what else isn't made for woke libs? This Hans Zimmer score.
So what is Boyd doing?
Here's the thing. I think the score is like really bad.
Why is it like
it actively is?
I mean, it's awful. Of course.
It's like
it's crazy.
No, it's like I feel like we can't overrate how bad of a score this is. Like it's Hans Zimmer.
What was he thinking?
It doesn't go with the movie. Like it kind of is a thing where it's almost
he doesn't watch the movies.
Well, it's a thing where it's like it's almost like whenever you watch like a Hallmark movie or something like that, and you just hear like a twinkling, and it's somebody just like, yeah, and that's how my dad died. It's like do do do. It's like, wait, you're playing like the magical music cue. That's not the time to do this. There's like a lot of those moments that are happening in here where it's like, bro, now I'm like more confused while watching this because what emotion are you trying to elicit out of me?
This was also generally kind of a tough time for scores. Because it was like it was sort of the peak of the era where it would be like an orchestra but with like a drum kit playing. I always think of the score to like National Treasure. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
like,
not.
And that just sounds so dated because it is corny in general. And this is coming from a drummer. Like it's not that I don't like the drum kit. It's just like it doesn't make sense.
But there is
playing a drum kit along with an orchestra.
There is overkill in that movie. This movie does not. I fully agree with the score thing.
Yeah. It also there's a certain tune that plays like when people are like quipping, which is like for most of the movie.
Yeah.
When people are like saying clever things to each other. And it's it's almost like a waka waka guitar. Like
I mean that like every scene with like him and Teddy Newton, it's like there's like a little guitar riff, almost like a Seinfeld.
That's what I'm saying. Is that just like it almost is something where like I would rather it be like overly sincere with the score. Like think of something like Top Gun where it's just like you should be feeling emotional right now. But instead it's like, why is there like a funky bass line that's playing right now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel by this.
So those moments, especially when people are, when people are quipping and like that type of like sort of casual, like quote unquote fun score is playing, reminding me a lot of and a good amount of this movie does, and I'm not trying to be mean, but it reminds me of in Nathan For You when he makes the movie for the Eastern Los Angeles International Film Festival called The Web, and it has like Johnny Depp and Bill Gates like quipping at each other, and like every line is just so like written, you know, like I think I didn't do enough work on my end to like meet this movie where it was at. But
that's also like fair.
It's kind of the movie's fault. It is
the script
alienating.
Is so bad.
It is insane that this movie made over $500 million.
It was the number one highest grossing movie of 2000 worldwide.
Well, okay,
number one.
This is a great international
go off of
movie.
like memory and like what I've read. Like
true.
It's like what Gladiator came out that year.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the year of the Gladiator Oscars.
What else came out like that summer? Was it Pearl Harbor was 2001? So
yes.
What else came out? 2000.
That's a good question.
Because I want to know what its competition was.
It's not an incredible movie year because
American Beauty.
No, that's 99.
Yeah.
99 is
so
like
this is number one. Gladiator is number two. Number three is the next movie we're covering in this series. It's Hanks.
Castaway. Wow. I didn't know
Castaway.
I know The Patriot.
Oh, The Grinch is up there, right?
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yep, that's number 6. Number 4 is a Mel Gibson vehicle.
The Patriot?
No,
is it the What Women Want?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And then
What Women Want, a great movie.
Number 5 is the most. Speak on that.
I actually learned a lot from that.
Speak on
Sutherland, Mel Gibson.
Hey, listen, that's a Nancy Myers joint.
Yeah, exactly. And we stand Nancy.
Absolutely.
American Psycho, Almost Famous, another couple like it's not like a completely lost year. Memento, the best Christopher Nolan movie, came out that year.
What's number 5?
Number 5 is one of the most cursed, buried Disney animation movies.
Atlantis.
Hold on.
Is it Atlantis?
No.
Way more cursed and way more buried than that.
Is it Fantasia?
No. Is it like oh my god, is it Egypt based?
No.
I think
that one came out around the
prehistoric.
Same time.
Spirited Away.
Oh, Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, R.I.P. to the dinosaur ride that is going away.
Dude, that movie is so crazy. If you ever do a dinosaur pod, I'll be
Don't they all die at the end because the meteor hits?
Our next news on the next series that we're doing.
Our next actor we're covering is the Stegosaurus.
God, that movie is so stupid. It's so
Hey, it's a great ride at Animal Kingdom, and I'll miss it when it's gone. And I couldn't tell you a single thing about what happens in the movie.
I mean, $546 million on a $120 million budget. It's pretty crazy.
Well, so internationally, it makes a ton of sense because visually, this movie has it all going on. Like you don't need to understand it. You could watch this without hearing a word, and you'd be captivated. That's kind of almost how I process the movie.
Yeah,
I could not take in the information.
It's very jarring because every single dialogue sequence is so bad, and every single non-dialogue sequence is fucking amazing.
By the way, there are a ton because like there'll just be like festivals going on, and he's like, "We're gonna spend 2 minutes like slow-moing through this." Like he takes
the slow-mo shots are incredible.
He takes his time through a lot of the visual stuff. The amount of slow-mo in this movie, I guess I had just kind of forgotten since Face Off. Which by the way, I still maintain, like, I love Face Off.
It's a 5-star film.
That is
10 out of 10.
I really think that's just the type of movie that befits that type of.
I was watching like 30 minutes of it on Pluto like a month ago, and it's just like,
let's go.
It's so good.
Yeah. Remember Magnet Prison?
I mean,
God, this movie could have used a magnet prison.
Yeah, and it like left over from the draft where the movie took place on Mars.
What's that line that he gives at the beginning of the movie where he's like, he said, if we kissed, no, let me rephrase that. If I let you suck my tongue.
That's the best.
It's so good.
And the girl is like, fuck me right now. Nick Cage, that was so hot.
What's his fucking name in that movie?
Castor Troy, dude. And Sean Archer.
Guy doesn't know this. I put Castor Troy in our list of baby names. So like, we're doing Castor Troy, all one name.
Castor Troy Mobley.
It's not even Castor Dash Troy.
No, it's just Castor.
Andre, I think I'll actually like kill you if you don't go. That's
Castor.
Castor Troy.
John more casters.
No, I think it was Castor Troy Mobley. That is what really sent me over the edge. Because the weird thing is, it actually sounds not bad.
Castor Troy Mobley.
Yeah. That's
you were named after the bravest man I've ever known.
That's a Gen. That's the next. That's the next Gen Beta.
What the hell are you
podcast king?
It's Castor Troy Mobley.
Yeah.
It's like that meme of like, Daddy, why is my name Rose? Well, I gave your mom roses the night you were conceived. So why is my brother named Castor Troy?
Well, Sonny, I was fucking your mom, and I just couldn't stop thinking about Castor Troy the whole time.
I got some pre-cum on my finger when we were in the theater, and
Do you think we'll all be doing that face move that John Travolta does
100%.
with our children?
I do.
So. That's a normal human thing that we all do, where we just like run our hands over someone's face.
The last time I checked, when the Silent Night movie that he did last year came out, during that press tour, he said they were developing a sequel with Travolta.
They keep saying that.
I don't know. I mean, I almost don't want it to happen, but I feel like either way, even if it's awful, it's still going to be worth your time.
So John Woo, I had this pinned as a thing to talk about. So he starts his career in Hong Kong in 1968 with 2 short films. His first feature is in 1974. So he basically does 22 movies over the course of 2 decades before he sets foot in Hollywood with Broken Arrow. Or I guess Hard Target. Is that the Van Damme? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the amuse-bouche right between Hard Boiled and Broken Arrow. That's crazy. 20 movies over 2 decades. That is like more of a career than most people could hope for.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lot like a lot of these like prestige directors in the sense that like even if he has like kind of quote unquote fallen off in recent years, like his like pre-2000s resume is just already so accomplished that he can just like retire and call it a day and be proud of that. Because now he's like, he did the Killer remake for Peacock and like the Silent Night movie, which I thought was dog shit. It was so bad.
I didn't see either of those. But
I didn't see the Killer, but I did see Silent Night, and it was like, I was fully hyped for it because I think the idea of like a silent protagonist.
Didn't you do a double? Wasn't that a double feature?
Don't tell them what I saw it with. Do you guys remember?
We saw you for the first part of it, and then you're like, "Sorry, I can't hang out."
Oh wait, I just remembered what
I have to go run to see Silent Night. Was it Poor Things? Was that
no,
what it was?
buddy? What out of all the Best Picture nominees from last year, what do you think is the most ill-conceived double feature with Silent Night? Just and what do you think is the worst answer? Like, no, Adam would not do that. Just know that is the answer. Best Picture nominees from last year. Or this year, technically.
Fuck, what was it? Was it
Zone of Interest?
Was it Zone of Interest?
It was the Zone of Interest. I saw. It was
Zone of Interest. And they like, I guess
immediately walked in.
I was like, oh, that was a really riveting and makes me want to kill myself Holocaust drama. Let me go see the John Woo. Silent action.
John Woo was old when he made this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
we pulled up the Ben Stiller bit.
He's got to stop. We watched the whole like DVD special feature.
So
with Stiller.
it's actually not a DVD special.
What was
feature.
it like? Fucking.
It was made specifically for the MTV Movie.
I was gonna
Awards.
say that
I had seen that before because they the Ben Stiller thing where he parodied the opening.
The one like short clip of them laughing goes viral like every other.
That's
day.
a very funny clip.
But like the whole of it, there's a lot of work put into it.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
it's like 6 minutes long,
and it's funny. It's got It's got Stiller doing a few different Cruise movies. It has Stiller saying, respect the penis, tame the vagina.
In the full, oh my God, what's his character's name?
Oh, from Magnolia?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot the character's name, but I can see the attire in my head.
Frank T.J. Mackey.
But yeah, there's a good amount
Is
of...
that the second name on your baby list?
Yeah, Frank T.J. Mackey is the other one. Yeah.
all three.
Well, I'm going to look at this baby and be like, does this baby look like a piece of shit or not? Because that's going to determine what this name is.
Whether it's Castor Troy or
Frank
which
T.
one's
Mackey.
the piece of shit?
Well, that's for the audience side, really. Vote down below in the description. Take a poll.
TJ Mackey used to be a piece of shit. He's not anymore.
He's not
But
anymore.
yeah, that little skit is
ready to hold baby.
great because Cruise is so game. And like they even get John Woo in on it. And that would never happen today.
Oh no.
It's just one of those things that like something happens along this time frame. And like it's funny that we're wrapping up the series right when arguably this is like Tom Cruise's most interesting part, like as a guy right now, is this phase of like he does Magnolia, he does Eyes Wide Shut. They are critically mixed to like very high praise,
But it's like the artistic peak.
and it's one of those things. Well, it's artistic peak, and it's one of those things that like in real time people are like, how the fuck did Tom Cruise lose to Michael Caine for Cider House Rules? Like, how did we do this again? We didn't get to Jerry Maguire, and we didn't give him for Cider House Rules. So he does Mission Impossible 2. This movie is the highest grossing movie of the year, and Tom still is just like, I still want to try and do like be a capital A actor. And then he makes like a couple of wrong choices with Vanilla Sky.
We'll get to that. We're covering that one.
A movie that I think he is incredible in, but isn't as good financially or like as critically as I think he wanted with Collateral.
That movie is so
It's
fucking good.
fucking incredible. It's like,
are you guys doing that
Michael
one?
Mann.
No.
I'm doing it in my heart.
We've talked about it on the pod.
That is,
Well, I am thinking if we the thinking is to do another bracket for the next series. So if Jamie Foxx is on that bracket,
dude, I just do Cruise again. Like do his his second half
Cruise
because
round two.
I'm being so serious right now because there's at least like 10 movies I'd come on for.
Well, it is
like
like interesting. Like he does still like to make choices like within this thing, but it's never clicking.
Yeah.
And it's like after 1999, a door closes.
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
So Ernie, you kind of touched on something that I think is really important about Cruise that we haven't mentioned this yet. But mentioning his gameness for that segment was stellar. Tom Cruise
ability to have a little fun.
Tom Cruise has never hosted SNL.
Oh,
What?
that's a great little
I can't
tidbit.
believe that.
oh, he has to
But it
go on
makes a
soon,
lot of
right?
sense.
He's never hosted SNL, and I think that it would genuinely. I think that I personally would look at him differently if he had. What if he had hosted like 5 times, which he easily could have. He could have hosted
That's
like
so many points.
Yeah, like as far as like getting booked, he could have hosted 20 times by now.
Right.
The weird thing about that is that he's such a like showman, like that I can't.
He would kill it.
He would kill it, and it's not like he's immune to comedy either because like he's done so many segments with like Conan and Jimmy Kimmel.
So
and shit.
my theory,
SNL 50, bring him on.
no, my theory about why he hasn't done this, because I mean the easy one that people will go to is that he's too self-serious and like can't make fun of himself. Like you said, I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's true at all.
I think the issue genuinely is that on SNL you don't have time to get things perfect. And he is genuinely like a psychopath. I think that like
that's dead on.
Yeah, I think that like having like one day to run lines would drive him insane.
Yeah.
I think that the idea of somebody else blowing it and like laughing during his scene,
if like Jimmy Fallon laughed in a sketch with him, he'd fucking choke.
Feel free to cut this, Ernie, but I do think that he has the kind of autism where he is like he just has to make amazing cinema, which I think is
think about the Olympics. Like he does this Olympic stunt that just happened this summer, right? That's cool. Something that was in the works and planned to the T for months, right? Like that is the opposite of SNL doing their shit in the span of days.
So I really think that's the reason. However, if we're talking about Hanks and Cruise, I think that's a key difference between them. Hanks, lexicon wise, being on SNL has been huge for him.
Yeah.
He has like
one of the all time.
All throughout his life.
What if Tom Cruise was David Pumpkins?
That
couldn't be.
That one like Hanks one, like I think it was maybe the last time he hosted when he did the Celebrity, or no, not Celebrity, the Black Family Feud. And when he's the Trump supporter.
Yeah.
That was really
so fucking funny.
He's just willing to do anything.
He's so effortlessly funny.
Yeah, he did one of the worst digital shorts of all time. Like, just because I've been listening to the Lonely Island.
Remind me, which one is that?
He did the one that's like, please don't touch my testicles. Please don't.
I don't even know if I've seen that one.
It's like a song that's like, I'm too sexy, but it's all about how he doesn't want anyone to like cut his testicles with a knife. And it
when was this? What year was it?
It was like the first year of digital shorts. It immediately left the lexicon. No one has mentioned it since. But he was willing to do, like, he doesn't blink. And Cruise, like, he's a producer also. Like, I think he would want to come in and like be in the rewrite room. And the problem is that's not his area of expertise.
I do wonder, and I mean, it's all theorizing at this point of like, what is the future for Tom if the final reckoning is truly the final one and he is wanting to kind of like get back on the horse and loosen up. I don't think as of right now he's not a producer on the Inarritu movie.
I am so curious about that.
Oh, is he now? Whenever it first announced, it was just like, he's actually
damn it,
stepping.
Tom.
Yeah, but it was the thing where it's just
surrender yourself to the fucking. Tom is like,
he
last time I surrendered myself, I spent 3 years in London. I'm not doing it again.
In London on fucking sound stages,
and my marriage fell apart. Exactly,
dude. I'm so curious about the Inarritu movie. Like, I think
I want it to be good so bad. I also think Inarritu, a lot of his movies suck. So here's the thing. I know a lot of people felt the way about The Whale when it's just like when people are just like happy for Brendan that he just won an Oscar, and I was so like I hated The Whale so much that I couldn't even fully be happy for him. I don't care if the Inarritu movie is absolute dog shit. It's unwatchable. If Tom Cruise wins an Oscar because of it, then it'll all be worth it. We'll tell ourselves that it's for Jerry Maguire and for Ethan Hines and everything.
He has a perfect, because the Oscars are all about like narrative.
Yeah.
With like him saving cinema with Top Gun Maverick and like, really advocating for like theaters and productions and like just paying PAs and shit, right? Just like keeping them on salary while Dead Reckoning is like on hiatus. Like
$300 million budget.
If it sounds like I love this man and I idolize him, it's because I do. But it's because he is just very sincere with his craft. And I think if he like does win an Oscar, I think it's because he's never won.
Never.
Right?
Never.
It is so well deserved.
Nominated 3 times.
And the thing is, I'm sure you guys have seen it. The post 9/11 Oscar speech that he did. Yeah. It is like the most beautiful thing about like why movies matter, why art perseveres. It like I think about it sometimes and I literally like shed a tear. I'm not kidding. Like I will just like cry about it sometimes.
No, 100%. I mean, it's kind of like we talked about it, like talking like whenever we first started this about like bleak times in the world, and it's hard to it's easy to get kind of lost in everything and become just fully nihilistic and not appreciate stuff like that. But this is the power of movie making and the power of Tom Cruise. Speaking of COVID, Tom kind of like prevents the first COVID outbreak in Mission Impossible 2.
He does.
And let me tell you, when they say the whole thing in this movie about they make the disease so that they can sell the cure, I'm like, fucking Pfizer COVID denier boys out here are
this is exactly what fucking Ernest said.
Up. I like as it was happening.
It's Pfizer in Wuhan.
Yeah,
that's the Brendan Gleeson scene at the end.
It's just like, God, this is just like
when he's like
people watch this, they're like, God, crazy,
COVID.
just history doing this.
Yeah, that I mean, I think that one line at the beginning goes pretty hard where he's like, we made the cure because the best, like, what is it? Like the best heroes come out of like the biggest monsters or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that goes hard as hell. Like and then you're like cutting to like Ethan Hunt after that. I'm like, let's fucking.
So there are so many scenes like this where it is very, very difficult for me to stay like on the money with the dialogue. Like, pretty much every single scene where people are talking in this movie, I start thinking about other shit. Like, it just.
I'm thinking about the camera. Like, it is absurd the amount of choices he is forcing in. And I respect it because that is like a style to have. But like people will be having a very innocuous conversation and he's like, okay, for this one, I am like, we're on the dolly and it's literally just someone saying like, yes, but like we're doing the farthest
smash zoom,
the craziest dolly zoom you've ever fucking seen. It's really distracting when I don't know. This movie just has like you said, there's so much mass stuff going on, and generally I've always like bumped up against that as just like an insane thing to be in these movies. Again, I'm probably not doing enough work to like meet these movies in the middle.
Well, this one in particular, I think is the hardest one to meet.
Yeah, and it creates this world where you have to be paying like decent attention, enough attention to understand that, okay, that's probably not him.
But even if you are, it's not like you're getting that much out of it, because what you're saying about paying attention to like the mass stuff and the craziness, that's a tiny bit compared to all the virus plot machinations, which to me are incredibly like uninteresting.
Yeah.
The entire villain plot and the scientists, like, there are some cool moments, and I like seeing some of the bits that kind of move the plot along with the claiming of the virus in the lab. And Hans Zimmer has a little moment where he kind of, does some interesting stuff with the music when he's kind of injecting the serum out of the canisters. There are moments where things are working. And again, it's when there's no dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, that's when this movie is working, when nobody is talking.
Yeah.
And there are so many sequences where this movie absolutely comes to life. Obviously, John Woo is popping the fuck off with the slow motion and the dubs.
So much slow
and all of it.
He's having them, I mean, especially toward the end, but he's having them do like WWE wrestling moves on each other.
And
like,
it's great.
And just
the
slow.
I mean, that, not to like fully jump ahead, but like the jousting of the motorcycles is like
so cool.
It's fucking incredible.
And that is, I think, where it reminded me of Face Off, where it's like, okay, this is funny and cool.
Yeah.
Like this, this is like on that line of like, we all know this is insane, but also it's like, hell
this is
the
not
number
real
of
life
kicks is just unbelievable.
The amount at the very end, it's like almost like the Dear Sister sketch.
Yeah.
Like he just keeps staying up and getting kicked in the face over and over and falling, and then like it cuts back to him and he's standing up.
And he gets kicked again.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's so good. He gets his shit rocked. And honestly, at the end, the knife thing, that's I'm sure you guys know this, like how practical it is.
They had it on a wire.
Yeah, they had it on a wire. Like that shot is incredible because you can feel it like when you're watching it. Like it's a great moment.
So there's actually a bit in the Wikipedia about that I wrote down. So it says, during the final fight scene between Ethan Hunt and Sean Ambrose, Tom Cruise insisted that a real knife be used. The knife was attached to a cable and was carefully measured to stop a quarter of an inch from Tom Cruise's eyeball. And the actor asked Dougray Scott to put his full strength down on the knife to get a realistic look for the scene.
I am naming my son Tom Cruise.
That's so fucking cool. Come on, man. Like, you
so
just
great.
Although it is funny that this is the last movie that we will ever see Tom Cruise, because he's like, I have to run away from the bad guys, but first I have to put on a pair of sunglasses. And then you can tell it's not Tom Cruise on every shot doing it. And like, you can tell, like, I feel like that was something that like he held in the back of his head. He's like, I'm never fucking doing that again. I'm going to take the glass off so people know that that's me on that motorcycle every time.
Absolutely.
There's another bit about how on Wikipedia about like the opening sequence of him climbing, the studio was like, hey,
we shouldn't do that.
We should do anything else. That sounds really dangerous. And Cruise was like, we have to.
So I'll read that.
There's no better way. He said there's no better way to reintroduce his character.
I'll read that bit too.
I love
it's so funny.
So that bit says,
it's insane.
The studio expressed concern about the safety of filming Tom Cruise's entrance scene, in which he is free solo climbing at Dead Horse Point State Park in Moab, Utah. Cruise refused to drop the idea because he could not think of a better way to introduce the character. There was no safety net as he filmed the sequence, but he did have a harness and a thin wire.
Yeah.
He tore his shoulder when performing the jump from one part of the cliff to another.
Yeah.
I will say that's not a real medical diagnosis. Like,
torn shoulder.
Yeah, David Montgomery's out this week. He tore his shoulder.
You hear that and it's like,
that's not real.
Is he like alive? Like what happened? He definitely just had like a small tear.
Yeah, there was impact from the body to the rock. It was
definitely not enough that like it required surgery from it that he could rehab back. But it is the thing where like you can kind of feel the force of the jump if I tried to do that, I would just die. Like I would just fall to my death. There's no even getting close to that.
It's a great sequence.
Hey, also Adam, speaking toward like how much you love Tom Cruise.
I'm gonna pull up all the like bad
it's like
stuff.
Tom Cruise
Scientology.
Thandie Newton discussed her unpleasant on-set experiences with Cruise during the shooting of the balcony sequence in a 2020 interview. According to Newton, Cruise was heavily stressed over the expectations of the sequel being good.
Yeah.
And was upset during the shooting of said scene because she had the shittiest lines.
That's so funny.
He's mad at
He's
her
not wrong.
that Robert Towne doesn't know how to write a woman.
And it's like that scene in particular, Tom, is like it's the whole thing, man.
Apparently,
I can only imagine him like drag smoking. He's like, she has the worst lines.
Apparently, she also contacted Jonathan Demme and tried to tattletale, telling him that.
Wait, what? What's the connection there?
I guess they made a movie together. I don't know.
Jonathan Demme. Wait, did he do The Firm? Was it The Firm? Is that what he directed? No,
he directed The Firm. But wait, no, you're saying that Thandie Newton called Jonathan Demme
and told him about Tom Cruise's shitty behavior.
And what did Demme do? He
that's what I'm confused
he
about.
Hit her with the damn. That's crazy.
I mean, Thandie. I think.
They made a movie in 1998, Beloved.
Okay.
I think she.
I love Demme. He's made a lot of just movies that are just lost in the ether completely.
She looks back on this movie maybe a little bit mixed, but it makes sense what they were trying to do with this character because the female character in the first movie is not good at all.
Awful.
Yes.
So
like the one that becomes
the French
part of the
chick.
Team. Yeah.
It was like, oh, my husband has just died. Will you fuck me now?
I think that there was an attempt.
That was pretty good.
To try to.
I like how you wonder.
She's Italian now.
I like how you said French and then just fully went for an Italian accent.
I'm making the Tesla. I don't pay the taxes.
Well, I think the only reason that kind of works, maybe I'm just like being a full like dick rider at this point, but when it comes to that, like I think it kind of fits like with the tone of what De Palma is trying to do in that movie because like all the performances are so like theatrical and like grand, which I like really enjoy.
And the teams dying and then double crossing each other. And
when I was watching that the other day, like there's so many scenes in that movie that are just like that, the like fish tank scene, like the way like it has like the camera like below them. It's just like
it's so sick. That movie's so sick.
Yeah, I mean, that movie's amazing. I do also think that like weirdly, Tom Cruise is someone who we have talked about in the series struggles often to have a romantic, like an actual chemistry with his like female counterpart in these movies. I think kind of with the exception of the Mission Impossible movies from MI3 on. So it's a little bit on a scale because I think that he connects with Michelle Monaghan really well. He connects perfectly with Rebecca Ferguson. That is like an incredible match. But even like moving forward, like Vanessa Kirby and him have great chemistry.
Haley Atwell
and the new one. Like
so good.
It is something that he has found something with this franchise and with this Ethan Hunt character as like an with the female lead where he has kind of struggled to meet that match. See like something like For All Good or
All Good Men or A Few Good Men. Yeah.
A Few Good Men, which is like a perfect movie
for all mankind.
Well, I think
our girl Demi Moore is and him are not clicking in that.
I think a reason why the chemistry is like notably better as like with his female counterparts as like his filmography progresses is like kind of what I was saying earlier about the producing credits, because he is really much a part of the casting process. Because I listened to like a lot of pods about, there's a really great Mission Impossible pod called Light the Fuse.
Where those guys are great.
Yeah, love them. They've done like a big deep dive with Tom. He's been a guest a few times.
What?
I also really recommend the Empire Magazine podcast
with McHugh.
Tom's been on there a few times.
Is Tom available?
For
pod?
They get him for like 10 minutes.
He fully
pod?
came on during like a Wimbledon match that he was at with McHugh, which I thought was like the most baller thing ever.
McHugh is like his buddy.
Glenn Powell calls in like on the way to Greg Tarzan Davis's wedding, on the road. Like it's so cool. But
it is funny. McHugh is kind of like Tom's handler at this point. Like he feels safe as long as because he knows that Christopher will like keep him safe. He's not going to put him in any kind of like uncomfortable position where people are going to ask him questions.
He is the parent of a neurodivergent child.
He knows like
he's like, hey, buddy,
you want to learn STEM toys and don't ask him too many questions.
You want to learn how to hang off a helicopter? It's gonna be okay.
I think but he did he told a story about like his chemistry reading with Haley Atwell when they were casting Dead Reckoning, and he said, I like met a lot of like really amazing actresses, but there was just something about like Haley's like comfortability.
Yeah,
like she's like he just like saw kind of like clay there, like to mold. Like he's like, I can like we can improvise as much as you want, and I know that you're gonna meet me where
he was asked. Yeah, he said she's a big natural.
I mean, you can quote him on that.
That's one of the best parts of Dead Reckoning is the ability to see someone go from this petty thief to an agent of the IMF.
Absolutely.
Like it's a perfect arc.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why that like Rome sequence is so great when they're like handcuffed together.
It's so good.
Like,
the car chase sequence,
amazing, incredible. Man. Like God, now you guys just want me. Like, you're making me like want to just put on Dead Reckoning right now.
Well, Final Reckoning comes out in May, right?
Memorial Day weekend.
We're ramping up, baby.
I'm gonna watch all of these movies multiple times before Final Reckoning.
Absolutely.
I really do. You think that like AMC is gonna do one of the like marathons of like we're gonna play 6 movies in a row, or 7 movies in a row? Before?
I don't know if they're gonna do it in a row, but I could see them like remember how they did Fast Fridays back up to Fast 9.
Brother, I will be there at every single one.
Absolutely, I will be there.
Honey, we aren't making plans for every Friday for the next 2 months.
If they just had like one IMAX showtime, like per movie, I would, dude.
Let's go.
What I would give to see De Palma's original in like Dolby or IMAX.
They should do that. That's the last one they need to.
They've done 4K remasters of all of them at this point. So like,
yeah, and I mean, and they all like look incredible because I was watching the first one on 4K the other day, and it like, especially the like the dangling sequence is like just like it looks so good on 4K. Even this one looks great.
The only movie that I haven't seen on 4K now is actually it's 3, and like. I kind of hold a special place in my heart for 3 because as a kid, like
it's a Bush era.
Well, yeah, it's like it's
24
season 5.
3's awesome.
I know.
Sorry, I think about everything in relation to which season of 24 that was. I was like, is David Palmer still there? Is he doing Allstate commercials?
Well, the thing with MI3 is this one, MI2 is stylized as
President David Palmer is the Allstate guys.
Yeah, no. I have. I'm so sorry, Ernest. Have you seen his Twitter?
David Palmer?
Yeah.
Or is that the character or
his name is President David Palmer?
Whatever his real name is. Have you been on his Twitter account?
No.
Hunter, it is so cool.
He's a great guy.
He posts pictures it's like the most edited photo of him ever, and it has like a quote by
Dennis Haysbert.
Dennis Haysbert, that's what it is.
He has the sickest Twitter account.
I have seen posts from.
Oh my god, he has some hat action going on.
Very cool guy. But what I was gonna say about Mission Impossible 3 was like, as a kid, I used to go to the library and I could rent 1 VHS or 2 VHS at a time, and I would rent like 1 new movie and then a Mission Impossible movie. Yeah. And I would do like MI1, MI2, MI3, MI1, MI2, MI3.
Because that was before Ghost Pro.
Yeah, it was before any of those movies came out. And like MI3 actually was my favorite one as a kid, mostly because of Philip Seymour Hoffman, that I was like, I love this guy.
I mean, Philip Seymour, I'm sorry, like Mission Impossible 3 is like really fucking great. Like I love that movie.
We're in the middle of a battle with Harry, friend of the pod.
Harry is a J.J. Abrams hater, and I've kind of I don't want to say I've become a J.J. Abrams hater, but it makes sense that after this movie, they're like, let's steady the ship here. We might have gone too far. Let's get like.
Well, I've always maintained that
Married.
MI3 is a good time, a very watchable good time.
You're famous for saying
I think
that.
there's like so many like amazing sequences, like like a highway sequence where like the helicopter blows his ass up.
Yeah.
There's some like amazing line readings in that movie. Like one I always think of is with Lawrence Fishburne after like Ethan Hunt gets arrested. He's like, I'm such a patriot. I will bleed on the American flag to make sure it stays red. Like. So fucking good. It is.
It's so
that
earnest.
movie, that movie is. I love it.
Here's what I'll say about the early missions is I rewatched all of them leading up to Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
And from that rewatch, they're all very fresh in my mind. I didn't have to do a rewatch, a full rewatch leading up to Dead Reckoning.
Right.
All I did before Dead Reckoning was just Fallout. And going into this one, into MI2, I was kind of ready for the reclamation, and it never happened. I was like waiting for it, and now after watching it last night and feeling the exact same way I felt about it in 2018 on the lead up to Fallout, and being the true stinker. Like I still feel exactly the same way. I did not waver. It's not worse. It's not better. I'm kind of like way more hesitant to revisit MI3 because it's just like, what am I going to get out of it? Like, I love the McHugh run so much. That can be what I revisit.
I think with 2, I know the first time I watched it, like I said, was before Ghost Protocol came out, and I didn't like it when I was like 13. I thought it was like too convoluted and boring and all that. Like I remember I felt the same way about like Too Fast, Too Furious the first time I saw that. I didn't really enjoy it.
I was about to go pee, but I'm glad you brought that up because
the difference between
I think there are a lot of similarities between the jump between 1 and 2 here with the Fast movies where it's just, and Ernie, we were talking about this last night. There is almost like something cool about that, about the idea of
the hard turn.
Yeah, the idea of a sequel being so different in every way, just because it's not something you get to see anymore because, studios don't allow that to happen. But like, it's the exact same deal where like I ended up in being able to enjoy Fast 2, but like it takes a minute.
You have to reset your brain a little
especially if because you're not watching them like as they come out. So like you're like wait.
Yeah, I mean, what? Where it's just something where and it's a little bit of that for MI2 as well, where you're just like, whoa, I feel like I'm like watching a new movie
in every way, in every single way.
I think that's kind of something that why on this rewatch now. Maybe I was just in a good headspace whenever putting it on, but I was just like, I enjoyed it more because I was just like, this movie is fucking weird, man. And it is just going for it. And I just appreciate that it is going for it and it is swinging for the fences, even if it is not making contact sometimes. Like,
yeah, the way I feel about this movie, I do progressively like it a little more every time I watch it, except maybe this time. I think the most fun I had with it was when I showed it to Victoria before Dead Reckoning, where we were just able to like watch it together and laugh at it. This time, just watching alone at work, not as fun, but I still like the ceiling I have accepted for this movie is like a very generous, like 6.5, 7 out of 10.
I think that's probably right.
Like, I think if I'm being real, it's like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
But
that's where
it's Ethan Hunt in a John Woo movie.
I upped
like,
it from 2.5 stars to 3.5 stars because I was like, this is a time I just had fun with it. And I don't care about if a movie is good or bad. I just had a great time with it. The fact that at the end, like the culmination of the movie is the villains being like, actually, we want stock options is so fucking stupid that I was like, this movie rocks. This movie,
so
I'm
dumb.
all in on this.
I love when,
we're gonna come for 51%. We're gonna take your fucking company, Brendan Gleeson.
That's my favorite thing about like when a foreign director like comes in and like the way he views like American business and politics and like or like just even like like politics and like business ventures that like are not from his like original country, like because he always prevents like shows them as like the dumbest fucking people possible, and I always think that's so funny. I think Mickey 17 will be very similar to that.
Ooh, the new bong,
because man, from what it looks like, he's really like satirizing American
You see, he got pushed.
politicians. Yeah. Oh, to April, right?
Yeah.
That's better than January.
Yeah.
I mean, January, it felt like it was just going to get fucking buried.
Yeah, apparently they did it for two reasons. Because they thought that Civil War and Challengers did really good in April last year. And also because they wanted to play it in IMAX. Because I guess Wolfman or something was going to play in IMAX instead.
Sure.
So I guess I can understand. But so I'm happy about that if that gives it a better window for, more people to see it.
Yeah.
So I want to get to the categories, but right before we do, just a couple last notes here. I wanted to read the Roger Ebert quote that the Wikipedia has.
I love that. Me and Kira did that all the time on Zcanon. It's just like reading off what Roger Ebert had to say.
He gave it 3 stars.
Wow.
Let's go, Raj. Raj gets it.
He said, if the first movie was entertaining as sound, fury, and movement, this one is more evolved, more confident, more sure-footed in the way it marries minimal character development to seamless action.
Roger gets it. He
Can't really argue
just
with
have
that.
a fun time. Yeah.
I just think that there are way too many long stretches of this movie without that it really drags it down. Like, that is true for long stretches, but there are other long stretches that lack that in very significant ways. Like, I found myself really struggling through again, like I said, just the dialogue, waiting for the movie to get to the next thing, and once it did, being wowed by it.
It's that's a staple of all these movies, is that they require a lot of dialogue dumps, because
that's why I love McHugh.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like that's baked in here, because there's just a lot of complicated plot stuff going on in all of these movies. Like, it's really insane, especially when an entire scene might just have a different guy being one of the main characters in it. So if that's baked in, then I think a sure hand like McHugh is like the way to go. I think it's a blessing that he really figured out how to have it all married. Like,
think about
in a way that's like sustainable. I don't think I could watch like 5 more Mission Impossible.
No way,
because
it's a one and done.
There's not
design.
There's not substance there. And I think
they left
Wu
it on the
totally
table
knows
with
what
this.
he's doing. Like, he knows how to direct a fucking movie, but like, he also knows that like the script is not the point here. But the problem with these movies is that the script has to be a big part of the point.
I do want to say, like, is the script not great? Yes. I also think that if it was Sean Harris delivering these lines, then you would not have bumped up
instead of Dougherty.
But I think that's more of a Dougherty.
We haven't even talked. Well, I mean, we haven't even talked about like most of this movie, but like, so I if I were just watching this like coming in raw, first of all, I'd say, where did Kittredge go?
Yeah.
I like him.
Many people are asking this.
He is now Anthony Hopkins.
Who?
Oh my God! This is
one
the
and a
first
half
time
scenes.
we're like an hour and a half into this podcast.
Anthony
He's in
Hopkins.
literally one actual scene, and then at the very end, it's like, oh yeah, shit, Anthony Hopkins, Academy Award winner Anthony Hopkins is in this movie.
Definitely some of the worst scenes in the entire movie.
Well, they're dialogue dump scenes.
It's
so it makes
terrible.
sense. But it's so funny. It's just him now. It's simply him now. And I don't know.
It's also uncredited. He's not in the credits.
It sort of plays to, like when we were watching the most recent Mission Impossible, when we talked about
Dead Reckoning.
Thank you.
Part 1.
As opposed to The Final Reckoning.
When we're introduced to what's the name of the guy?
The entity?
Yeah, the guy who's being like
Gabriel.
When we're introduced to Gabriel,
just off the top.
You love these movies, I can tell.
Well, I just automatically assumed like, oh, this is a guy from the old movies, and you guys are like, no, it's not. The flashbacks are fake, and
that's why they're good.
The flashbacks are fake, even though there have been so many characters here. It almost is admirable in a way that like every character except for Ethan is entirely disposable, and Luther.
Yeah, and Luther.
Luther gets to do a lot here. He's like firing a bazooka.
It's crazy how many steps he has lost since this movie.
It is funny.
He gets to jog a little bit.
Runs and he is out of breath immediately. It's like no wonder he never stands it.
No,
like that's
in the new movie. He is not. He's not running.
I always think back to like Rogue Nation where he has to chase Rebecca Ferguson like in the airport, and he like literally makes it from like one food court to another, and then he has to stop, and it's like and then McHugh's like, okay, cut. That's great.
That's enough.
The scene where they're like on the computer and Luther is trying to explain like what he's doing on the computer. I was like, can I just fast forward through this? I'm not getting anything.
I'm not skipping a second of Ving Rhames on my screen.
It's so bad.
I'm all
it's
in
really
on that.
bad.
The computer stuff is so funny in this movie. Terrible. Which I mean, that's going to happen in any
he's
like
coming in,
any 90s like 2000, early 2000s movie. The computer stuff is really funny.
No idea how to visualize it.
Yeah, exactly. All the the zoom in on like a cell becoming a virus is so fucking awesome.
My favorite thing is virus is red, but antidote is green, and green eat red.
It's so good.
It's so great.
It's it's crazy how like I went to med school and this is what I learned.
The pictures of the man who like died of the virus were pretty rough.
Oh, I thought that was awesome.
That was
Those were the only moments that like I felt like scared almost.
Yeah.
Like they looked brutal.
Yeah.
That was Wuhan. That was real.
Honestly, no. What?
Oh, no.
Here's the thing they didn't tell you is that was the virus.
Anyway, I hate to. We've been so on focus. I would hate to derail things, but I've been on Dennis Haysbert's website.
He has a Lucifer promo he's doing.
He also has a trivia game all about Dennis Haysbert on his website.
Let's go.
Go to dennishaysbert.tv.
Okay, what is?
It's really cool. He's got some like cousin of his absolutely fleecing him. He's paying someone like millions of dollars for this.
Can I just say, as we are closing out to go to the categories, the final sequence is like the most John Woo shit, and I mean
the
that,
motorcycle
like,
jousting.
It's crazy.
Well, no, even before the motorcycle
the
jousting,
doorway shot,
everything. So leading up to Tom running through a room, it's like underground, but there's still just doves everywhere, right?
Love it.
And him doing full
shit.
bicycle kicking a guy in the face, and specifically the shot that is after he explodes the door and he walks past with the flames, and then a white dove flies through. Is like burned in my head. It's
amazing
like
use
cinema.
of slow motion.
This is
even
cinema.
like when they when the bad guy like realizes he killed the wrong guy. And like when he goes, no, like, and it's just like it, and just like the way it goes from like operatic to like, and then like guitar, like it's so insane. Like that's why I love this movie. And when I say love, like I love it as much as you can love like a 7 out of 10, and like a very generous 7 out of 10. Maybe perhaps the most generous 7 out of 10
but
of all time.
Those moments, those little moments are 10 out of 10. Like the moment where he, right after Thandie Newton injects herself with the virus, and he has to jump out the blown out wall.
That's a great moment. I love that
of the building. Yeah. It's all this drawn out slow motion. All these looks. We briefly mentioned it earlier, but the spinning in the cars when they're just like locked eyes with their cars spinning.
It's so crazy.
Hard cutting to them like just post fuck in the bed. Like it's ridiculous.
Man.
There are these brief moments of absolute perfection in this.
Them being like driving like right next to each other, going like a million miles an hour, and just being like
just chatting.
Hey. Having like room voice conversation. It's so fucking funny
on a fucking car phone in 2000.
See, that's what drives me crazy about the movie. Is it because every moment of this movie is heightened, like obviously, like it's a very heightened movie visually, dialogue wise. Every piece of it is heightened from reality. The problem is sometimes it's not following its own rules, and that's really important if you're going to be like in an alternate version of what's real.
You know,
But
I would love to like continue talking about this, but everywhere I look, I see Dennis Haysbert. I look to the right of me. I look at Drew's fucking screen. I see Dennis Haysbert. I look to the left of me at Hunter's screen, and I see Dennis Haysbert, and I can't even focus
I just
on
saw that Dennis Haysbert has his own line of golf clothes.
Yeah, he does.
Are you
Hunter, should we buy in?
Yeah, we gotta get.
Are you in good hands?
Wait, Dennis Haysbert is his own cologne line too.
Jesus.
No, Adam, keep talking.
Well,
Sorry.
Adam, you haven't answered the question. First of
I'm
all,
sorry, what's the
question one of Dennis Haysbert. This is Trivia Game Volume 7.
Volume 7.
Okay, here's the
Each
first sentence.
trivia has 100 questions.
Here's the
to it.
first. Here's the first sentence
Which
of the trivia
TNT
quiz.
drama did he star in with Ray Romano?
No. This is the first sentence of the question. This sentence is not a question. So many of Dennis's fans say that Unit is one of their all-time favorite television shows.
Sorry, what?
Many.
The unit?
Unit
What the fuck is the unit?
Okay, second sentence of the question, also not a question yet. In this military action series, every member of Delta Force has a code name. Do you remember Jonas Blaine's code name?
Is that the third name on your baby list?
Oh, yeah. Jonas Blaine.
little Dennis Haysbert Mobley.
Well, if you have triplets, I mean, at least you know what to like name them.
So is it Destroyer, Snake Doctor, Wrecking Ball, or Hammerhead?
I think
I
it's
just
Snake
I have to go
Doctor.
for Snake Doctor just off like.
Do you guys really think?
No, but I like.
No, I think I feel like it's Hammerhead. I'm going to submit. Oh, it doesn't.
Snake Doctor.
Okay, no.
It was Snake Doctor.
Let's fucking see. I'm locked in on my
24
boy
lore.
Dennis Haysbert.
And then it has like a clip you can watch of Dennis acting.
Is this
Everybody
on
saying
his
that
website?
Yes, this is on
The
DennisHaysbert.tv.
Hunter,
the
did
television show The Unit is one of their favorite pieces of media.
Many
ever
of
made.
Dennis's fans.
Hunter, did you know that he reprised his role in 24
actually
the
did.
game?
Yeah, I have that game on PS2. Let me tell you, that game rocks. There's like,
Oh yeah.
You're a little psycho, aren't you?
that game, dude, you should see the waterboarding level. That one's incredible.
Is it like a?
It's just like one of those things.
You know,
where
like
it's
in GTA where you're like torturing somebody. Is it like you press X to keep waterboarding?
yeah, you like keep doing it, and you're like, wait, you grabbed a white one, and then you have to throw it over.
And where can everyone
Game
find you
over.
guys online?
We're in Trump's America.
Probably had Joseph Salamone on Twitter.
No, I don't.
We have to go to the others.
Or else I'm just gonna keep doing.
I'm
Dennis
shocked.
Haysbert
I'm
trivia.
shocked he didn't return for the 24 Legacy remake.
I thought that he did for some reason, but maybe
No,
I never
he's
watched
not
Legacy.
credited.
The last part of 24 that I indulged was the initial reprise that they did in like 2009,
Yeah, with the new
2011, and it's really bad. And so
Well, we may, with the new regime that is being installed in this country,
We might be living
We may
24.
need to.
we might need federal agent Jack Bauer to come and save us.
Oh, all right.
Him and Fauci are in the
Oh God.
I just saw a.
Haysbert-
Question number 2 is not a question.
It's not even a question. It's just a hand washing PSA.
Jesus
And it
Christ.
goes to a USA.gov/coronavirus.
Hey, he played Zipper in Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
I'm gonna get that like tattooed on my thigh. Dennis Hayward played. I can't even say it.
All right. It's time for the categories.
Stupid.
Mission Impossible 2, great movie.
Good movie. I like it.
Really quick, what state did Dennis Palmer represent before he became president?
Oh man, if you would have asked me this in 2004, okay, answer this in a heartbeat. I'm gonna say it's from the great state of.
Did
bet I know.
Did it produce
I'm gonna
Obama?
go-
Is it Illinois?
Here's my
was
thought
saying,
process.
yeah.
The show is racist.
I was gonna say Georgia.
That's fair. No, but the thing is, he doesn't have an accent in the show, right?
No, he doesn't.
So
Yeah,
the
you're
show's racist. I'm going to say Maryland because
I
that's
was
where
also
Baltimore
gonna-
is.
Yeah.
Submit.
Wow.
Really confident.
Yep.
It's
And
correct.
it's,
That's
yeah.
correct.
It was Maryland.
yeah.
Wow, that was okay.
All right, it's time for the categories.
Yeah.
I have good news. Dennis Haysbert's in the top 5,000 on IMDb today, guys.
Well, I think I know who's going to be your next series.
David Palmer. Every Tom v Tom series entry, we close out with our categories. The first category is Run P. What is the moment? What is the scene where you go pee, where you dip out of Mission Impossible 2?
Where they're at like the race.
Don't say the horse
like
racing.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like it's I don't know. I mean, there's some like sort of fun acting from the like villain in that scene. But
You wouldn't get to
slow-mo-
see that Tandy Newton put it in the wrong side pocket.
it's cute enough, but I'm like, I could
Yeah, you
totally
don't
just.
need it.
I'm
You
really
could run poop during that scene, honestly.
I'm very confident that if someone was that obvious, like taking shit out of my pocket and putting it back in, I would notice. Though, like she's just like she.
I mean, she has been arrested.
No sleight of
before,
hand.
So, like, maybe she's not the best thief in the world.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they just kind of yank her off the street.
I think any scene of pretty much any Brendan Gleeson scene, you can just go. Like,
Yeah.
you can just check out.
Any scene
completely.
except for Tom in the Einstein mask for that one guy. I like that one.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah, where
That's
he's
a good
just
moment.
like,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
fine. I, Brendan Gleeson, want to inflict mass chaos upon the world.
You
And they're
got me.
Oh, cool. I got. It's like very much setting the scene in a much, much worse way of the opening of Fallout with our boy Wolf Blitzer.
Facts.
Such a good scene.
Banger.
What a great
Thank
movie.
you.
That
thank
was
you,
the
Run
first.
P.
That was the first Mission Impossible I ever saw. And when the Wolf Blitzer thing, I was like, wait,
That's the best.
what?
They
You're like,
bombed
wait, is
the.
it Simon Pegg?
And I always forget when I rewatch the
Vatican.
first one is that they do it in the first one
Yeah,
too. With the
that's
set.
how the first
Yeah.
one opens up. Is
Yeah.
So
Thanks to Run P for sponsoring this episode. Run P, when you're.
do you have one?
I was just going to reprise your pissin' should you choose to unzip it.
Okay.
It's the same one from last.
Although I do think the Run Poop app isn't a bad one because not a bad idea because I do think there are some movies where you gotta carve out more time.
Yeah.
To go poop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Run P. You wanna watch your John Woo, but for just a minute,
You gotta poo.
for just a minute, hit the John and say woo.
Wow.
Run P.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Run P, getting back to the theater in time for the good stuff will not be a Mission Impossible.
Maybe Mission Difficult, but not impossible.
Not Mission Impossible.
Thanks, Run P. All right. Next category is Tom Swap. Could the other Tom do this role? We touched on it last Mission episode. Could Tom Hanks play Ethan Hunt?
No, I mean,
What
are we talking
Hanks
about?
couldn't have done one, but Hanks could definitely do two.
He could do the
Hanks could do
rock climbing.
I would argue that Tom Cruise could barely do two, so I will say no to Tom Hanks doing two.
If Tom Hanks did, that's a great point. if Tom Hanks did this movie, it would fully be like a Leslie Nielsen thing, like a Naked Gun movie.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be full satire.
With the hair.
Mhm.
The same
Yeah.
wig that they give him for Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
He would have for this. All right. Next category is a double category. It's favorite scene and most iconic moment. I think most iconic moment is pretty easy. It's the rock climbing. I don't know if there's going to be any pushback on that.
I mean, the only
Favorite scene.
I think the motorcycle jousting for me
Yeah.
is that or the knife bit. I really love.
I mean,
the
you can
knife.
kind of put all that
That's
Yeah,
together.
I
the
think-
last,
yeah.
the last duel.
When he keeps
The-
kicking him over
Ridley
and over,
Scott.
I was laughing so hard.
It's so great. I
He
mean,
just keeps kicking.
yeah, I mean, just like the way that like entire like sequence just like progressively gets more insane every moment.
I genuinely do want to know like the rationale in like production of like saying like, okay, most of his moves in this movie are kicks. Like it was a very intentional
it's
choice.
literally it's it's some like kung fu shit. It's like literally like we want to do American version of kung
I know,
fu.
but
and you know it looks cooler than a punch, a fucking roundhouse kick.
So that's true, but also like even in a kung fu movie, this is like all kicks. Like this is like a character.
I think
it looks like he's famous for kicking.
But it's like it's more cinematic. What if you could not only like inflict pain on your rival, but you could also do a flip while you do it?
I think a lot of it that's true.
And I often say this.
I think a lot of it is also...
I said this about the Mike Tyson fight, the Paul fight.
Maybe...
I forgot. For a second, I was like, was it Logan? I couldn't remember which Paul it was.
Pope John Paul II?
Yeah.
He got knocked out?
Yeah, he didn't make it. I'm sorry. We have to elect a new pope.
I think a lot of the kicking thing was John Woo just playing with the fact that like... if Tom Cruise were to physically beat someone, it would not be with his tiny little torso. You know, like he's all legs. It makes way more sense for him to be a kicker.
Well, that's why it's so like great as the series progresses, where it just kind of meets him where he's at. Like that scene in Rogue Nation where he's tied to the pole with the handcuffs, he's like tied with a rope on there, and he like fully like kicks his feet up until he like comes
it's
over.
Good shit,
dude. I could just talk for hours about all the best Ethan Hunt moments.
It's great shit.
It's up there.
So this movie shares, I think, a flaw that my favorite movie, Max Keeble's Big Move, shares.
Too many villains?
Too many villains. There are too many villains. We haven't even mentioned Richard Roxburgh playing Hugh Stamp.
Yeah, the goon.
He's
goon
more of a
number
goon.
one.
Yeah.
He's attached to the main threat.
By the way, I mean, turns out you can put a mask on someone who has duct tape on their mouth.
Honestly,
unaffected.
A great little reveal. You know, you see it coming from a mile away, but it's just like, okay, we've never seen this.
That was actually one of the only mask reveals that I really liked.
Yeah.
Even though you know, it's still fun.
It's well done. You know, they show the finger with the tip cut off.
I think it would have been better if like in the background of the scene, you just see like real Tom Cruise just like sneaking behind like hee and like grabbing the vials off of there. But
well, so I mentioned this before, but they also change outfits.
Yes.
So he has to put on
strips him nude.
Yeah, which I wish we would have seen.
45 seconds.
And you know, one thing we were chatting about, Drew, last night that we haven't mentioned is the Matrix influence on this movie.
Oh my God, yeah. So I was seeing Matrix all over.
In switching outfits, he puts on the leather jacket that guy has on. So for the entire jousting knife fight sequence, he's wearing this leather jacket. And when you look at when they shot this movie, The Matrix came out in March of 1999. This movie starts filming in April of 1999.
Yeah.
So Wu must have had heavy Matrix on the mind.
Well, that's the thing is, I've also thought about it a lot because you don't want to attribute like when they're both taking from the same pot of movies, you don't want to attribute it all to Matrix, but there is a lot of Matrix in this movie because in particular, in this movie, he is obsessed with the dynamic shot of the camera swinging one way and usually Cruise's arm with a gun swinging the other way. Yeah. And that is just Matrix.
I mean, he even has he has the Neo glasses. Right. I mean, the score even kind of weirdly sounds like Rage Against the Machine at points.
Well, it's one of those things. It is kind of like beautiful in a way because Wachowskis were like very obviously influenced by kung fu movies and by John Woo movies specifically.
This is what Ernest brought up.
It's influencing
the loop closes in on
exactly.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I really admire that about this movie is that it has the audacity to like actually be like its own thing. Which is something that I always do appreciate every time I visit it.
We totally skipped past it earlier. I love the fact that the virus is in a gun. Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. That's not how viruses are administered before.
It's like The Rock. It's like Michael Bay's The Rock with the bubbles.
It's literally
the green
just
orbs.
It's like, hey, you know what's scarier than a virus? A virus and a gun.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the visualizations that we have in this movie. And also the way that we have to kill the virus in the vials is like by like shooting it into like electrocuting the virus.
It's just a lot of crazy iconography.
I love it.
I mean, it's just
so stupid.
Leather, flames, sunglasses.
The room that all the virus stuff is housed in was crafted just to house that stuff. It's not like in a grounded movie, it would be like, oh, they use like a lab. It's like, no. There's a case for the 3 guns that was like molded to hold 3 virus guns that exist just here. Like
and nowhere else.
Yeah, like it's all so.
What do you think like the production line was like on this? Like that day, they're like, hey, what do you think we're fucking designing over here? Like specially making.
All right, next category is what are we scoring this on the Tom scale out of 5?
There's a lot of Tom. I mean, it's
you're judging the hair, the brow, the teeth, the running.
Okay, a big point in this movie I did want to point out. He does have some new tooth work going on here.
Well, the hair is the best.
The hair is crazy.
This might be the worst movie we cover in the entire series. The hair is unbelievably good.
I think the reason especially that it's unbelievably good is because I think maybe almost no one can pull it off. Like, because he always has great hair. Like he just has an incredible head of hair. But like this look is not replicable. Many men have tried. It's not doable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he tries again, like I mentioned Last Samurai, even some of the other missions, he tries to go back to it. It's never quite
it's hard. Like even in the modern parlance, because a lot of like late 90s hairstyles have come back around to usually now it's longer up top, but like cropped more on the sides and the back. This exact hairstyle is so hard.
It's something, I think it's like meeting him at the perfect age. Like he is 30.
Well, he looks younger in this than in Eyes Wide Shut.
Well, he does. Yeah. And it's crazy that they didn't even shoot this until
he looks
99 because he's 37 then whenever they were shooting
there are certain scenes in this where it's like one of maybe 3 Cruise movies so far where I've been like, okay, he actually looks really hot.
He's got the juice.
Yeah, like he looks great. So props to him. Like I'm not even doubting that like Thandie Newton would be into him. You know what I mean? When she's got some juice in this one. So props to him. I think this is like a lot. I mean, it's also just like Tom being very intense the entire movie. So I feel like we're approaching a 5.
It's like a 4.44445.
4.4 repeating.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, as far as that goes, he's like, I mean, I don't want to say it's like the peak of him like in the series, but like it's damn close. Just like
it's like the Tom.
Yeah, it's like Cruise being like a parody of Cruise. Like,
yeah,
it's like the most cruisy. It's the most cruisy.
If Jerry Maguire was a 5, this is kind of a different version of that, but this is kind of what Tom is for the next little period.
You're right,
of life
though.
Here.
Like in these movies, he doesn't get a chance to act as dynamically as he does in other. You know what I mean? Like in a Jerry Maguire, he like you watch him like emotionally fall apart.
He looks a little scary in some scenes.
Yeah, but like
sometimes he is trying to be scary because it's him as Dougray Scott. But in other scenes where he's not, it's like I can tell that there is a distressed Scientology obsessed man.
I can tell you don't like this line. I think you had the right call. 4.444.
Has anybody ever thought that like maybe everybody else was wrong and Tom was right?
I am thinking that a lot the past 2 weeks. Yeah.
So there you go.
Mm-hmm. More and more.
What's next?
Yeah.
Last category: recaging and re-Robin couch. Where are Nick Cage and Robin Williams in the 2000 film Mission:
Nick Cage is easy. Put him in Dougray Scott.
Yeah, he's better.
I think
he's
exactly
better, right?
I think
right there.
I think you put Robin Williams as the fucking Anthony Hopkins character.
Yeah. I think it actually adds.
Well, it's not a mission difficult, Mister.
What about the scientist?
That's a. He just is full Patch Adams.
Yeah.
Get up. Yeah.
The problem is then I like that guy. No, Cage is Dougray though. Like he's immediately
this could be the best movie of all time. If that is,
I really do think
that year it's fine. Like
that's what I'm saying. Is that if I blame, yes, it's not a great script. I blame a lot of this on Dougray Scott. I'm sorry to my Irish brethren out there, but like my guy does not fucking have it in this movie, and like he is not delivering.
Scottish.
There's just too many villains.
What's the difference?
And we get so much time with him that we think he must be special, but we're were floating around this villain cast, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I don't want to blame it all on him, but
you need somebody who has some kind of uniqueness, like whether it's playing like truly evil or there's some kind of like sick humor to him or something, and like he just doesn't have the. He doesn't.
By the way, have you seen what Dougray Scott looks like recently? He looks like way more of a Scottish man than he ever has.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
that's a full.
That's a different guy.
Oh yeah, that's not even. That's not him.
So he's coming back to like save Ethan.
We should mention a lot of people in the cinephile community know this, but in case you don't know, the big trivia fact with this movie is that Dougray Scott was supposed to be Wolverine in X-Men.
Yeah,
and because he didn't want to be in a fucking comic book movie, he said, no, I'm gonna apparently there were some scheduling conflicts and he had to choose, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna choose the fucking Mission Impossible sequel all the way. Fuck that Marvel nonsense, they're bankrupt. And then a little guy named Hugh Jackman stepped in to the role.
I knew that, but I forgot that it was this guy because
he was cast.
I cannot imagine.
No,
could you? Man,
he doesn't make sense. He's
not even a little bit.
He's too distant. His eyes are too far apart.
Yeah, could you imagine Dougray Scott with Deadpool and Deadpool and Wolverine?
No, this is fully a guy. This is fully a guy that would have been recast by X2 at the.
He's not. He wasn't making it.
Yeah, he is coming back for Secret Wars though.
Oh, is he?
They're
Okay.
gonna get
I'm honestly shocked that Deadpool and Wolverine didn't just like have like Dougray Scott in to be like, look, you fucking online nerds know who this is.
Remember?
Don't you? You remember
the
him?
Wikipedia article? It's a reference. You recognize the trivia on IMDb. Clap for the IMDb trivia.
I say as I'm like gonna go see fucking Final Reckoning like 12 times in theaters next year. We can all be fans of
when they reference the rabbit's foot. I'm like, woo.
Real quick, before we wrap up, I just wanted to close the loop on the whole like Tom Cruise, is this the beginning of the end conversation, because we'll probably touch on it again when we talk about Vanilla Sky and then Minority Report. Those are the last two of the series. But I feel like, especially coming off of the 1999 that he had, as soon as we enter the 21st century, it does kind of look like this movie is the first sign of trouble, right? Because after Minority Report, you get The Last Samurai, Collateral, War of the Worlds, Mission Impossible 3, which that's 05 and 06. That lines up with the Oprah couch. I think is the Oprah couch 05 or
it's 2005.
And it's right before War of the Worlds, right?
It's that press tour, exactly.
Right.
It's really important to like explain to people who weren't there or maybe weren't plugged
the
in
insanity.
I mean,
we're gonna have to do an episode. We're gonna have to do a mini episode about that.
First of all, like if you know about like. Yeah, you may have heard. Oh, yeah, he jumped in. If you watch the whole video of his appearance on that episode, it's really unsettling.
He's an insane person.
Two, it was like the media cycle and the internet was like it was in its nascency, and the media cycle was so much slower. That was the only thing people talked about for about a month. It was the only thing on the news. It was absolutely fucking nuts. I knew about it as like a 10-year-old as being like, it was like more important than the Iraq War.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
I mean, the fucking Scary Movie 4 like parodies it.
Yes, yeah.
He pulls off Oprah's arms because he's like jumping with her. If I'm not mistaken, like around that time he also went on I think it was like the Today Show or like NBC or something, and it was like he argued with I forgot who that canceled Today Show host was.
Lauer?
Yeah, I think it was Matt Lauer, where he's like arguing about like antidepressants.
Oh no.
And like SSRIs with like with him. He's like
some Scientology shit.
Matt. I've done the research. I know what I'm talking about. And he's like, but you don't see that there's statistics to back up that like people can really benefit from. He's like, no, because these pharmaceutical companies don't.
Whoa.
And he's going in on it. And
he was like, I was in Mission Impossible 2. I know that they're selling us the cure.
Yeah, there's that, and there's the famous one where I don't know who he's talking to. I think it's I think it's the same guy that no, I was gonna say it's the same guy that RDJ walked out of the interview we're on, but I don't think it's the same guy. But the interviewer asking him about his and Katie Holmes' marriage. And he's
Such
like,
subject.
He's like, do you still love Katie? He's like, Matt, what do you? Of course I do. I have kids with her.
I love popcorn.
Yeah, and then he's like, would you ever want to have kids again? Of course. I think it's beautiful. I think marriage is beautiful. And then he starts asking more about Katie. He's like, listen, I think you're out of line. Put your manners back in. Have you guys seen this?
No,
you
I've not seen this.
You have not seen
Oh my
Put Your
God.
Manners Back In? It goes on Twitter like every time like someone says something out of pocket on Twitter.
Put your
they quote
manners
Twitter,
back in.
where it's like Tom Cruise saying, put your manners back in.
God damn. And so
It's
this
so
was
good.
all around that time,
I
that
have not-
0506.
I think 0506, yeah, for sure.
Damn.
Like
I think it was a crucial period where media was getting a lot more personal. Like it was getting a lot more, like you actually getting to know stars, as opposed to like he was able to just skirt by doing 5 minutes on like Carson or whatever for like a decade. Yeah, and then like they started asking like serious personal questions, and like people were realizing he's insane.
Yeah.
I think jury's still out if he's climbed out of that hole or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's
What do you mean?
trying
He's
desperately hard to do that.
Oh, as far as
Well,
like perception,
Right.
Yes, I think that it is very manicured.
I think we're about to find out after Final Reckoning. I think that if he lands this plane of like closing the chapter of Mission Impossible and starting this new post Mission Impossible chapter, we're gonna find out.
If he does want to do the like, I now want to be taken seriously as an actor and be like an Oscar winner and stuff like that, he's gonna have to put himself out there, because like the Academy loves a story, but only if they can like break you down a little bit and really fucking go at you over and over again with the
I think with that, like, I mean, because there's that one joke, and was it from Jared Carmichael?
When he hosted the
about
Globes.
Shelley
Miskovich.
Which I just
Where are
feel
you,
like,
Tom?
Yeah, exactly. So it's
hey, and here's the thing: Tom was the first one to return his Golden Globes because he doesn't believe in the Hollywood Foreign Press, and we all clapped. We all said like, "Thank you, Tom. We respect your opinions on the Hollywood Foreign Press."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he also wanted his crew to mask up.
I am truly the most problematic king of all time.
Tom
Love
woke.
him.
Tom woke.
Tom is woke. He really is.
Yeah.
He is.
It's so crazy to watch the Final Reckoning trailer and think that Ethan Hunt is the same Ethan Hunt in this movie.
Yeah.
It just does not.
I just like to think of it as like
in my head.
It's like he just went through like a little bit like of a. I mean, I don't know. He's just like he cuts his bangs and he's feeling a little bit different. Like
he got married. It's crazy. This movie ends with him and Thandie Newton in Sydney, and then Mission 3 picks up with him married to Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like, what?
This movie, when this movie ends, you're like, they are so in love.
With his brother-in-law's Aaron Paul in that movie.
Yeah. Shout out.
Oh my god,
that movie is. I really enjoyed that movie. I can't wait to watch it in preparation for Final. But and the great thing is after this, it only really goes uphill.
Yes.
Like
I think that's true. I think arguably it gets better and better with every single movie until Fallout. It just kind of gets, and then I think Dead Reckoning is probably in the Ghost Prot range for me. Rogue Nation is my second favorite. And then I'd probably go Ghost Prot, Dead Rec Part 1, but
I'd go I mean Fallout obviously. Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol.
Maybe MI1 actually.
Then I was gonna say I might go the first MI, then Dead Reckoning, but that's only because like they're all like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10s for me. Then 3 is like a 4 out of 5 for me, and then this is like a nice little 3.5, a generous 3.5 that I enjoy.
I think it's,
and I fully expect Final Reckoning to like knock my socks off.
Yeah,
I cannot wait.
Expect that to like.
So.
You know what's great is that even still to this day, if you log any Mission Impossible movie, including MI2 on Letterboxd, it pops up the whole like little message thing. When I did that last night, I was like, "Let's fuck."
I was like giggling. I'm like,
cool. Thank you, Ethan.
I did 2025 on most anticipated list on Letterboxd, and originally I had like the PTA at number 1 and this at number 2, and I had to like settle with myself, and I was like, let's be honest,
Flip that.
I'm like, we gotta flip that because this is my most anticipated movie after 2025. It's not even close.
All right, we can wrap it up there. Thank you all for listening. Please rate, review, and subscribe, like, and comment, and let us know your thoughts on Mission: Impossible -2. Check out weboughamic.net to get every episode in your inbox. We Bought a Mic on Patreon to support all the hard work that goes into making this.
This may have been a little bit of a biased episode because so on Letterboxd, I have 30 people I follow who have watched this movie, and only 2 of them have given it as much as 3.5 stars, and they're both sitting right here.
Absolutely. I love to be an influencer.
That's actually crazy.
I did have it at 2.5 stars for I think years until this time, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I like to have fun when I watch a movie.
That was being too fast.
Maybe that's also a thing because I started like doing the binge of movies that we have to do around this time of year for year and stuff. I'm like, you know what sucks is most movies. Most movies are just fucking boring, even if they're quote unquote good. Yeah. And this movie, it's fun.
Yeah,
Adam, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Please let the people know any recommendations, plugs, parting words of wisdom, anything you want to let them know.
I have nothing to really plug at the moment. Still on a hiatus with my pods. I guess you can read my reviews at cinesoup.com. Just kind of plugging away at that. Like Hunter said, we're at the point of the year where I'm trying to hit up all the screenings I can, and it's a good time of the year with that stuff. And like you mentioned earlier in the pod, like it's good to have an outlet where you can thrive in art and kind of not completely hide yourself from the world, but it's nice to have this as a nice light. So all we can do is hope that Ethan Hunt
will save us.
When can we expect your 20,000 word review for Maria?
Red One.
Right after I finish typing my 3,000 word review for Red One.
Okay.
Good thing. Makes sense. Makes sense. It's called Red One because this movie is dog dick.
Run pee.
We'll see you next time. We love you. Bye.
Bye.